What's up, YouTube? I wanted to have a little discussion today. Today, I wanted to talk about B grades. That's right, B grades. Now, B grades come in with lots of different names, and every company calls them something different. CLYW calls them Fool's Gold. G Squared calls them glitches. Yoyo Factory calls them B grades. One Drop calls them NQP, not quite perfect. B grades are more or less the yo-yos that are not perfect in some way, shape, or form, that can't be sold for full price for whatever reason. But still play well enough that it makes sense to want to get them out in the world because it is a piece of metal that you're going to throw at the ground. So this is a B grade Vosun, their new bimetal that they have come out. It's like the bimetal version of the Easy Spin. So I got this. I think the non-B grade versions have some engraving, but I got this from Return Top Shop from my friend Jeremy, Mr. Yoyo Thrower. I got it really cheap, so we're not going to talk about how much I paid for it, but more or less this is just a yo-yo to throw around and beat up. It's not perfect. It's got a little bit of vibe, and there's some like schmutz around the stainless steel ring there, but for the most part, I mean, it plays fine. I can't feel vibe on the string. It doesn't wobble incessantly. Here, let me show you the level here of vibe that we're talking about. You know, not terrible vibe, but enough, I guess, that they decided that it was a B grade. Now, I think I've tuned this a little bit. It was a little vibier initially, but I've tuned it up a little bit. And I sort of tightened it up. You can see I sort of pushed the screw up into the metal there a little bit. It's like a little ping. But tightening it up really kind of solved its issue for the most part. So it plays almost like an A grade. But, you know, I mean, it's a relatively inexpensive bimetal anyway. Would have been $50 brand new. Got it for way less than that. But for the most part, B grades. Let's talk about B grades. B grades can be both good and bad. For yo-yo community and yo-yo companies in general. For yo-yo people, yo-yo players, B grades are great because let's say it's a yo-yo you want to bring with you, you want to carry with you because it's a yo-yo you love and a yo-yo you love to play. So this is CLYW Orca. It's by far my favorite CLYW, and it's one of the best CLYWs that has ever been created and one of my favorite yo-yos of all time. So I have 3 of these. 2 of them are Fool's Golds. And they're Fool's Gold for Anno issues. I think that's for the most part what CLYW did. If they were Anno issues, they didn't release super vibey ones. They were just Fool's Gold for Anno issues. This one, I mean, this Anno is beautiful, as you can see. Just that splash fade is awesome, and the purple and it just looks so good. But there is, like, in the cup some, like, kind of dirt under the Anno, like under there. Like, I've tried to wipe it off. It's like kind of a dirty yuckiness. You can only really see it if you're looking for it, but it's definitely, you know, this would have been a $140 yo-yo. They couldn't sell a $140 yo-yo with schmutz under the Anno that you could see. It kind of looks like it like corroded or something under there. So, you know, that was sort of the turning point, I think, for CLYW when they started to just move all of their production to China. They realized, you know, they were paying for a premium product to be made, and these were machined by One Drop, and they're machined incredibly. I mean, I gotta say, machining-wise, top-notch, couldn't be better. But because One Drop doesn't also do the Anno, they were having to go different shops for anodization. Sometimes the Annos would be great. CLYW has some legendary Annos, but sometimes the Annos would not be great, and sometimes they'd end up with a ton of B grades. So they had invested all kind of money, and they would end up with a lot of Fool's Golds. And there's a lot of Fool's Golds floating around, which is great for us, the players, but wasn't so great for CLYW because they had already invested all that money into it, and then their return was less, which meant they had less cash on hand to do cool things with. So when they moved production over to China, did the quality suffer? I don't know if the quality suffered per se. The machining is not as good, in my opinion. It's still good, don't get me wrong, but they moved it over, but the price came down too. So you get a product on a similar level for a cheaper price, but it's just not the same. So, you know, but I understand why they did it, because they were getting too many B grades with having to do machined in one shop, anodized in another. If it can all get done under one roof and then checked under one roof prior to being shipped to CLYW, that makes sense. But B grades, while, like I said, while good for the community, can be harmful to yo-yo manufacturers, especially small upstart companies. Let's say you're a small company just getting started, your first run of yo-yos. Let's say you order 100 yo-yos. You're looking to get them out at a premium price. You want, you know, a $65, $75 price tag on them. You design some beautiful ano, and they come back and half of them are messed up. Half of them are B grades or trash grades. Trash grades would just be extra vibey and just bad, but like, let's say half of them come back as B grades. Now they're still playable as B grades. You can still have a playable B grade. Maybe you can tune some of them up. Maybe you have a team. Maybe you can tune them up and get them out to your team or something. But let's say, you know, you've now invested whatever, you know, let's say $2,000 into your first run of yo-yos, and now you can only sell 25 of those yo-yos, and you're not going to make your investment back. That'll sink a new company. That'll sink their first release, and that's rather difficult for them. So, do we want B grades as a community? Yeah. Yo-Yo Factory just did a huge B grade sale. It's still going on. Amazing B grades for May, and they're really cool. For what I could tell, all the B grades from Yo-Yo Factory seem to be like just for ano flaws or something. Yo-Yo Factory's kind of sort of come different levels of smoothness. They're all pretty much 9 out of 10. You know, there's some Yo-Yo Factories that are like super dead smooth, but I think it sort of depends on the color and the ano. If they use the super powdery ano, it kind of ends up being really smooth, but if they end up using that like shinier one, usually they've got a little bit of vibe. You know, so Yo-Yo Factory tends to sort of, you know, have a little bit of a cushion when it comes to like smoothness of yo-yo. 9 out of 10 is still considered an A grade for them, but you know, I guess when they do B grades, there's always that little hint of vibe in the B grades that I've played anyway, but usually you see it for ano flaws, so they don't do the they don't do the full engravings and stuff, and they just send it like, you know, this splash came over too far, this has a weird machining mark in it, and it doesn't make the yo-yo play bad, but it makes the yo-yo not look as good, so they can't necessarily sell it. However, again, I'm going to point out these are pieces of metal we throw at the ground. So for guys like me and guys who just like to play yo-yo a lot and have a lot of yo-yos, B grades can be great, because especially like Yo-Yo Factory ones or Vosen ones, companies that do large runs that aren't in any real danger of, you know, oh man, we lost a ton of money because we had all these B grades. Well, Yo-Yo Factory could tune them up or take care of the B grades and send them out to us for a reduced price, and then we can beat the living hell out of them because we didn't pay that much for them. And maybe, you know, I want to learn 5A. It's 5A May. Let me pick up one of these Yo-Yo Factory B grades, and I can chuck it around and beat the crap out of it with the dice, and when I drop it, inevitably, because I've dropped every yo-yo I've ever tried to play 5A with. When I drop it and it goes skipping down the street, it's still going to be my 5A yo-yo. I just have to make sure that I get all those sharp edges off after it skipped down the street. So B grades are great for that, but to a small company, let's say G Squared. Now Jake is finally big enough, or is big enough now that B grades for him, you know, aren't necessarily going to sink him. However, they have caused him to retire yo-yos maybe a little soon. The Wolf, he hadn't had a good run of A-grade Wolves in a long time. He had to send a lot of glitches. And Glitch Wolves ended up having him discontinue the Wolf. So the Wolf has been retired because of B grades. The first run of, I think it's the first run, anyway, one of the first runs of the Pelican had a good bit of B grades in it. Now I think this looks amazing, and I think it plays great, but this is a glitch, and I applaud Jake for, you know, his attention to detail and his commitment to only releasing premium products. But I also feel for him because I know he threw a lot of trash grades away. I know he throws a lot of yo-yos away, and you know that hurts us because we want those G Squared yo-yos. But imagine somebody who was just new and starting if they had to throw a lot of yo-yos away. And and not getting as many yo-yos out there and not being able to recoup the investment that you put in, that'll sink your yo-yo company real fast if you have to do that. So, you know, I just wanted to have a little talk about B grades. What do you guys think about B grades? Do you think they're good for us, good for the community? Because, you know, it is a chunk of metal we get to chuck at the ground. But at the same time, you know, it could hurt the companies who support us, get us new yo-yos, and come out with new cool things, because it can suck their funds away real quick if they get a bad batch of yo-yos and they have to sort of eat that. So I need to know your comments. Let me know down below in the description. That was my discussion for today. B grades, good or bad for the yo-yo community? I think that's sort of an in-between thing. I think they can be great, and I think that, you know, if you're unlucky enough, they can be super bad for individual companies. And I would think and I would hope that machine shops can get better at this as time goes on, and things have gotten better as time has gotten on. I'm still gonna throw my B grades. I'm still gonna pick up B grades as I can, and have a good time with them. And you'll hear me talk about them more and more, because I like B grades, because I beat up everything. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I do videos every single day, because I'm crazy like that. But thanks for watching, guys. Cheers to you. I'll see you next time.